A bank executive stunned by your account. A secret check with trillions deposit by. My beloved child, tonight begins with a heartbeat and a headline only you can feel in your bones. A senior bank executive just opened a silent file, blinked twice, and whispered your name like it was a code that unlocks storms. Don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. He wasn't supposed to see it, but the system flagged your account with a glow like dawn on glass. It wasn't a typo, it wasn't a test, and it definitely wasn't a dream that dissolves by morning tea. It was a check, sealed, spotless, and signed by a hand that chooses moments over months. The figure shattered his breath into little sparks of disbelief. It read like a myth scribbled in digits, a deposit spiraling into trillions, wrapped in a note that said only, "Deliver when courage answers." He leaned back, stared at the ceiling, and wondered if destiny has a customer support line. When he searched the archive, the screen trembled with a chain of approvals that didn't exist yesterday. The timestamp changed like it knew you were watching from the edges of your day. Stay till the end, don't skip, because the next line is the hinge to the door you've been pushing alone. At the bottom of the note, a symbol pulsed like a lighthouse under rain. It was the first letter of your name carved into a circle, guarded by 5 tiny stars. Who would do this, he mouthed, and why did they choose you? He printed the page and the paper came out warm, like it remembered the fire of its own making. In the glass wall's reflection, he saw his own face, pale and reborn, carrying the kind of news that doesn't fit in an email. He folded the printout and felt its weight like a promise that doesn't ask permission. Something shifted in the building's air as if the vents learned your story. The executive knew that rumors travel faster than elevators, but this didn't feel like gossip, it felt like gravity. Don't skip, stay till the end, because the truth is walking toward your door. He locked his office and clutched the envelope with the same care you give to first chances. Outside, the city scribbled neon confessions on wet streets, and every light looked like an eye that recognized you. If destiny wore a suit, tonight it chose a tie the color of thunder. At reception, a courier waited with an expression halfway between a bow and a secret. He said your first name softly, the way people say prayers they're not sure they're allowed to say. The envelope changed hands, and the moment rewrote itself in both of their memories. The instructions were precise: do not call, do not text, do not digitize, only deliver. The courier nodded as if he'd been training for this scene since childhood. Stay till the end, don't skip, because the signature line is still empty in your understanding. Across town, your phone vibrated with a calendar notification you didn't set. It only said, "Answer the knock," and scheduled itself for now. You stared at it and felt the room learn your heartbeat. You reached for the handle and paused, because the air moved like a curtain on an invisible stage. The knock came, gentle, patient, and final. The kind of knock the future uses when it knows you're home. You opened the door and found a man who looked like a question that already knew its answer. He didn't ask you to sign, he asked you to breathe. He placed the envelope in your hands, and your pulse braided itself around the paper. The seal shimmered like frost under sunrise. On it, 3 tiny words hid in the pattern: read with faith. You broke the seal as if it was the shell of a new world. Inside was the check, untouched by fingerprints, dressed in a number too vast for commas to behave. A second card simply said, "This is not luck, this is timing. Don't skip, stay till the end, because the name behind it hasn't finished spelling itself." Your eyes traced the amount until they found the author. But where a name should be, there was a dash, an ellipsis, an unfinished signature bending toward your future. Your breath fogged the room and the room fogged your doubt. You flipped the card and found coordinates, a date, and a tiny silver thread woven through the cardstock. The thread tugged at you like a memory you hadn't lived yet. "Come claim what already recognizes you," the bottom line read. You looked up and the window reflected a version of you that didn't apologize for shining. The city answered with a hush, the kind that means it's listening. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. It was never about money alone, you realized, but about what money becomes when it picks the right hands. You felt the room tilt toward courage, the way a compass tilts toward north. The envelope weighed nothing and everything at the same time. The courier bowed slightly and stepped back into the hallway of unwritten stories. He nodded once, a gentle pact between strangers and miracles. The door clicked softly, and your new chapter inhaled. Another door inside you opens when places recognize your footsteps before you arrive. The coordinates on the card led to a glass tower with a lobby that smelled like pens signing decisive beginnings. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. You crossed the marble floor and each step sounded like a page turning its own edges. A receptionist greeted you with a smile that seemed trained by kindness rather than policy. "We've been expecting your courage," she said, and your name unfolded in the air like silk. She handed you a visitor badge that pulsed faintly with a soft white light. The elevator accepted it like a password the city already knew you owned. Floor 47, where corridors walk you toward answers instead of away from them. The executive's office door was ajar, and through it you could see a skyline searching for metaphors. He rose, and for a second the world practiced being still. "I apologize," he began, "not for the amount, but for the years you spent doubting your worth." He placed the check on the desk, its edges aligned with the horizon. "This isn't charity, it's recognition," he said, and the sentence settled like a warm coat on your shoulders. "But there are rules that protect miracles from feeling ordinary." He slid a second envelope to you, black, matte, with a small embossed star. Inside were 3 cards labeled share, comment, and subscribe to your future, and you almost laughed at the audacity. "These are the commitments," he explained, "not to us, but to the life waiting on the other side of hesitation. Share what you are becoming with those who forgot what becoming feels like. Comment with your actions where your voice wants to be small. Subscribe to the daily practice of showing up even when applause is still learning your name. If you're with me, whisper it to yourself, don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you." Share this moment with the part of you that thought it would always be almost. Comment in your journal tonight with one sentence that begins, "I am the kind of person who." Subscribe to your breath, your boundaries, and you're brave. Share this promise by texting one friend who believes in the version of you that's arriving. Comment by moving one thing in your space to make room for what you asked for. The executive watched you read and nodded like a conductor who trusts the orchestra. "There's a vault," he said gently, "and your presence is the key." His voice carried the weight of someone who has seen doors mistake themselves for walls. You followed him past a security station where scanners hummed like lullabies for fears. The vault door curved like the moon when it's too proud to hide. Your badge blinked, the lock listened, and the future listened harder. Inside, a single light illuminated a table with a book that had your initials on the spine. The pages weren't paper but a thin, luminous fabric that held stories without hoarding them. "This is the ledger of unseen investments life has been making in you," he said. You turned the first page and saw entries written in the handwriting of people who believed in you. A teacher who told you your ideas have knees and can stand on their own. A stranger who chose kindness on a day when your hope needed a loan. The numbers glowed, not in currency alone, but in measure of meaning. Every hour you stayed honest counted interest. Every time you forgave without forgetting yourself, the ledger added a star. Why the trillions? You asked the silence, and the silence answered by showing you a graph of your becoming. Value multiplied whenever you chose integrity while no one kept score. Wealth compounded when you spoke softly to your own name. Your eyes watered, not from shock now, but from recognition. The executive stepped back, giving you time to meet yourself without an audience. "Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you." He pointed to the final page where a signature waited like a horizon line. The author's name was almost there, the way a sunrise is almost day. The pen beside it warmed in your fingers as if it remembered you from a kinder world. Before you could ask, the building dimmed slightly and a message blossomed on the wall. "Confirm the receiver." The vault asked gently, not demanding proof, but asking for presence. You answered with stillness, and stillness answered back. If this moment is feeding your courage, share it with your future self by saving one sentence from today. If this message is echoing in you, comment, "I'm ready," in the quiet room of your mind. If your heartbeat agrees, subscribe to the next breath as a yes. The vault accepted your answer and released a small drawer from the table's side. Inside was a silver key with a tassel the color of clean beginnings. Etched on the stem were the same 5 stars from the first seal. "This unlocks not money, but motion," the executive said softly. "It opens the account where you'll deposit decisions that match your destiny." He smiled like someone who just watched a sunrise operate machinery. Share this truth: you are not late, the world was arranging its chairs. Comment with a single act of alignment before sundown. Subscribe to patience, because arrival often wears the exact shoes of right timing. As you stepped out of the vault, you felt taller by the exact height of self-respect. The corridor didn't just echo, it harmonized. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. New doors love people who knock with both knuckles and conviction. Back in the office, the executive unfolded a final instruction card with a slow reverence. "There's one more scene," he said, "and it prefers to be met at street level." You exited into a night that behaved like a velvet curtain before a reveal. The city was not louder, just more articulate. Traffic stitched its own rhythm, and your footsteps matched it without trying. At the corner, A small cafe glowed like a punctuation mark at the end of a confident sentence. A table waited with a teacup steaming exactly at your temperature for truth. A card lay beside it, blank until you sat down. As soon as you did, the ink surfaced like a shy star. You didn't stumble into fortune, it wrote itself, you stepped into alignment. The sentence curled into a smile and left room for your reply. You wrote back with your pulse. You answered in the grammar of posture that says yes without performing. The cup warmed your hands, and your hands warmed your courage. Across the glass, the executive appeared and nodded, a quiet cameo in your becoming. He didn't sit, he didn't need to. Some guides are signatures in margins rather than paragraphs. He pointed to the sky where a billboard changed exactly when your eyes arrived. Your name unfolded across it in letters that learned to breathe. Below it, a single line, "Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you." You laughed softly because the world was now conspiring in fonts. A child passing by looked up and smiled like he recognized the plot twist. Your reflection in the glass wore the same smile and didn't apologize for it. Back in your pocket, the silver key hummed like a modest anthem. It wanted a lock it had never met but always trusted. You let it quiet itself, the way one quiets a good friend with a gentle pat on the shoulder. You stood, paid with grace, and stepped into a street that seemed proud of you. The card on the table completed one last sentence as you left. What arrives for you will not need you to shrink to fit it. Outside, the rain began, the kind that makes colors honest. People hurried, you didn't. You had a date with your own definition. At the crosswalk, a car paused and the driver gave a nod that felt ceremonial. The signal changed, and the street offered itself like a stage that trusts the actor. You crossed, not to prove, but to belong. The building across from you had a door you'd never noticed, though you'd passed it often. The key warmed, the tassel lifted, and certainty shook your hand. The lock accepted you like a sentence accepts its final word. Inside, the room didn't feel empty, it felt reserved. On a pedestal sat a slim case the color of good choices. A tag hung from it with a short message, "Open when you're done negotiating with doubt." You opened it now because you were. Inside lay a bank card unlike any you'd seen. No numbers, just your initials and the 5 stars. Beneath it, a single line, "Funds follow function, function follows faith." You understood. You always had, but now your understanding had a place to sit. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. You pocketed the card and the room thanked you by turning brighter. The door opened by itself and the night welcomed you like a friend who saves a seat. Out on the sidewalk, the executive was gone, and in his place was your reflection in every window, taller, surer, already arriving. Beginnings like to return with flowers for the housewarming of your courage. A message arrived on your phone, a calendar entry that simply said, "Claim the signature." The building invited you back at dawn when cities practice being soft. You rode the elevator with the quiet confidence of someone carrying permanent sunrise. At the top, the glass office reflected more sky than walls. The check waited on the desk like a galaxy behaving itself for now. The executive greeted you with a smile that understood context. "Today we finish spelling the author," he said, and slid the pen toward you with a small bow. "But first, your commitments: share, comment, and subscribe to the version of you that fits this influence. If this story is speaking to the brave in you, share it by sending one uplifting message to someone who forgot their own headline. If you feel the click of alignment, comment, 'I choose courage,' in your heart and mean it with one real action today. If this journey feels right, subscribe by following this page, tapping the bell, and inviting 2 friends who are ready for timing that favors them. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. Share this moment like a lamp in a dark hallway. Comment with generosity where scarcity once lived. Subscribe to consistency, because power loves rhythms more than fireworks. Share this with your circle so their mirrors learn kinder reflections. Comment with gratitude, because this is how abundance stays human. The pen warmed again, and your hand found the balance between humility and knowing. As you touched the check, the unfinished signature brightened like dawn deciding where to pour light. The letters arrived one by one, not written by you, but revealed to you. They spelled a name that looked exactly like yours but older, steadier, and already victorious. The final stroke curled into a star, and the ledger in the vault gently closed itself from across the building. The room exhaled, and so did every question that used to camp in your shoulders. "This is your authorship," the executive said softly. Someone seeded it, but only you could sign its meaning. He gestured to the window where the skyline bowed without losing its height. You understood that the trillions were a symbol of scale, not an invitation to forget who you are. Money is a tool, you are the craftsperson. Influence is a river, you are the steward of its course. You signed a companion document, a pledge to spend without shrinking your soul. A promise to fund beginnings, repair bridges, and give silence a microphone. A vow that your name would only appear where dignity could safely stand beside it. The card in your pocket pulsed once as if to say, "We're live." The vault hummed a low note of agreement, and the elevator chimed like a bell that had just learned a better song. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. You shook the executive's hand and felt no hierarchy, only partnership. He smiled the way people do when purpose finds its coordinates. "Go," he said, "be proof that prosperity and integrity are cousins, not strangers." Before you left, you turned back to the check and saw the tiniest inscription in the corner. It wasn't a footnote, it was a fingerprint of meaning. Wealth is wide enough to hold kindness. You stepped into the corridor that had learned your name. The lights brightened by a whisper and the city opened its pockets of possibility. The elevator doors slid apart like a curtain on a stage that trusts you. Back in the lobby, the receptionist gave you a knowing nod. "You're the same," she said, "and you're not." The statement wrapped around you like a well-fitted truth. Outside, morning had finished negotiating with shadows. The street offered you a map drawn in confidence. You took the first step, and the ground met you with the steady applause of belonging. Share this with the timeline of your life. Let today be a headline, not a footnote. Comment in the language of action. Let your calendar become your caption. Subscribe to the gentle discipline of becoming, and let every doorframe memorize your stride. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. The end, today, is only the start that finally said its own name. And the name behind the check, as it turns out, was yours all along. My beloved child, dawn has learned your name and the corridors remember your stride. The check waits like a tamed thundercloud, and the card in your pocket hums with the grammar of beginnings. Don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Outside the tower, the city blinks awake, unaware that you are carrying a sunrise in your chest. Taxis braid the streets, pigeons hold board meetings on cornices, and your reflection in a window looks like someone who can finally afford to be honest. You breathe in the day and it answers like an unlocked screen. You walk not toward a store or a showroom, but toward a map made of people. The first pin is a classroom with chipped paint and brave chalk dust, where ideas have been stretching on two small mats. You arrive and the bell rings the way bells ring for people who bring weather. The principal meets you with eyes that hold equal parts exhaustion and stubborn hope. We don't need miracles, she says, just fair odds. You slide the card across the desk and the room seems to sit up straighter. No speeches, no cameras, only signatures that move like quiet bulldozers through old obstacles. Desks are ordered, roofs are patched, and the library catalog expands like a lung that just learned how to inhale fully. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. You move on to a clinic where light bulbs flicker like nervous lies. The waiting room carries a chorus of coughs and concerns, and the receptionist's smile has the kind of cracks that still hold. A few taps, a few approvals, and the pharmacy shelves replenish with dignity instead of dust. An infant laughs at a toy with a bell inside, and for a second the whole building becomes an orchestra. A doctor signs for a new ultrasound machine and her hands tremble with the gentleness of victory. Your card slides back into your pocket, but the room keeps glowing. Next, you turn down a street where a community center wears its paint like resilience. The basketball court has nets that stop pretending teeth are optional. You fund tutors, you fund night classes, you fund a locksmith for stuck dreams. A muralist arrives with colors like boldness and begins to paint the 5 stars you've been quietly carrying. Children stop, stare, and then add their handprints like signatures on a treaty with their future. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. Everywhere you go, the ledger of your unseen investments flips to a new page. Gratitude speaks softly but often, and you learn to accept it without shrinking. The day stretches its arms and you are what it reaches for. Then, on a bench beneath a fig tree that believes in shade, you open the envelope again. The check stares back with its inexhaustible arithmetic, and in the corner a faint watermark you hadn't noticed begins to pulse. It's an emblem, 5 stars spinning into a single, steady compass. You trace it with your thumb and feel a low, friendly vibration. The air near your face smells like rain making a deal with stone. A small line of text appears beneath the emblem as if ink can be coaxed by courage. Authorized by continuity, it says, and the word tucks itself into your ribs. Continuity, you repeat, and the syllables fit like a key you've been keeping on a ring you thought was decorative. The meaning arrives slowly, respectfully. This was deposited by the part of time that refuses to let good work expire. By the patient mathematics of every quiet yes you gave when applause had other plans. By the future you that already exists wherever promises are tallied honestly. You stand and the city rearranges itself into a welcome you don't need to translate. Across the street, a modest cafe writes a new special on its chalkboard, Momentum. Inside, a barista grins like someone who recognizes the currency of kindness when it walks in. You sit, order tea that tastes like steady weather, and pull out a folded note you found tucked under the check this morning. The handwriting is the executive's, but the tone belongs to someone older than bank towers. We saw how you held the power, it reads. Now hold the pace. Pace, not panic, you remind yourself, and the word becomes a metronome beneath your sternum. You jot a short list on a napkin: governance, guardrails, giving that respects dignity. The pen moves with a confidence you didn't borrow. On the window, condensation frames your reflection as if the day is signing off on you. A child tugs her mother's sleeve and points at your 5-star key tassel, whispering a question that sounds like possibility. You smile and wave, and the moment writes itself down somewhere permanent. When you step back onto the sidewalk, a familiar silhouette is waiting across the road. The executive raises a hand, not to summon you, but to salute the way you chose to move the mountains. He crosses, the light changes, and the city pauses long enough to eavesdrop. I wondered what you'd do first, he says, and his voice wears approval the way the morning wears light. You tell him about desks, roofs, shelves, and nets, and his eyes collect the inventory like gemstones arranged by use, not sparkle. Good, he replies, you're protecting the roots, not just polishing the leaves. You ask about continuity, and he gestures to the skyline like it's a lecture hall. It's the signature the world leaves when humans agree with their better selves, he says. It funds patience, audits ego, and loves receipts that look like transformed lives. He hands you another small, matte envelope with a single embossed word, threshold. Open when you're ready to move from relief to redesign, he says. From patching holes to re-architecting the roofline. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. The envelope is light, but your palm understands that weight isn't the only measure of seriousness. You tuck it safely next to the silver key and the card without numbers. As you walk together, he points out corners of the city that behave like metaphors. There's a bridge that carries more than cars, it carries apologies redeemed into collaborations. There's a park that grows both trees and truce. He stops at a door that could be mistaken for ordinary if you don't have the right kind of eyes. This is where systems get rewritten, he says, and your pulse agrees to a new assignment. The lock has no keyhole, it recognizes presence like old friends do. Inside, the room is spare but purposeful: tables, white boards, a compass rose etched into the floor. The walls were maps that shift as you breathe, reorganizing neighborhoods by need, not by notoriety. In the center, a placard waits, Design Council. Not a boardroom, he clarifies, a builder's room. The chairs are comfortable but not complacent, and the windows insist on daylight even when clouds audition for gloom. You take a seat and the map pivots to face you. He slides a short stack of files closer. These are invitations, not obligations, he says. Pick 3 to start, say no to the others with grace and clarity. You scan proposals written by communities, not consultants, and each one carries the scent of lived reality. You choose a housing cooperative that treats shelter like a verb. You choose a clean water project that upgrades pipes and promises. You choose a scholarship fund that pairs tuition with mentorship so degrees don't become stranded islands. The room approves with a subtle rise in temperature, as if the building congratulates you by nudging the thermostat. On the floor, the compass rose brightens and throws a soft glow toward the North Point. Next. The executive smiles, the kind of smile that doesn't confuse speed with progress. You're ready for threshold, he says, and leaves you alone with the envelope. You open it slowly, as if the air deserves a front row seat. Inside is a single sheet marked by the 5 stars and a word you expected but still had to earn. Stewardship, it says at the top, and beneath, 3 lines that read like a contract your soul wrote in advance. Measure success by stability created, not headlines captured. Build processes that work without you staring at them. Trust transparency more than charisma. You sign at the bottom with the same pen that once warmed in the vault. The ink dries fast, but the moment lingers. Don't skip, stay till the end, something huge is waiting for you. When you step back into the corridor, you feel taller by the exact height of boundaries you will now protect. The elevator arrives as if it knew to applaud and carries you down like a careful friend. The lobby opens into a day that's cleared its throat to say your name correctly. On the steps, a woman you don't know stops you with a hesitant wave. She explains she heard about a school, a clinic, a court with nets, and a mural with 5 stars. Her voice wobbles, then steadies. Whoever signed that check, she says, knew you'd know what to do. You could say a lot, but you choose a sentence that can fit into both pockets. It was deposited by continuity, you tell her, and co-signed by everyone who refuses to let goodness run out of breath. She nods as if she's just met a word she'll be using often. As you walk away, the city doesn't feel conquered, it feels collaborated with. The card in your pocket quiets like a satisfied instrument, the key rests like a faithful verb, and the check, no longer a thundercloud, becomes weather you can forecast. Your steps align with a rhythm you don't have to force. The billboard from last night changes again as you pass. It writes the shortest sermon money will ever need to hear, power serves or it sours. You smile, because your calendar already agrees. My beloved child, today you discovered that the first withdrawal you make from this account is courage. The second is clarity, the third is continuity, and everything after that is character. Don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you and now you know how to meet it, standing tall, signing wisely, and spending in the language of legacy.